Now, in order to engage with the healing and health-giving properties of herbs, we need to prepare them into a format that we can use to consume them in an effective way. One of the ways we can do this is by infusing herbs into oil. Infused herbal oils, or fixed oils, are created by soaking herb material in a pure vegetable-based oil, such as sunflower, olive or almond oil, and they allow the fat-soluble parts of the herb to be extracted. They are mostly used externally as massage oils or as bases for creams, ointments, salves and balms. Infused oils should not be confused with essential oils, which are completely different and need to be used with care. Essential oils are highly concentrated and need to be diluted in a base oil. Essential oils should never be taken internally except for a small number of them, like oregano oil, and many will burn you if you apply them directly to the skin. On the other hand, infused oils are much more user-friendly and they can be made very simply at home. Now, there are two methods to make infused oil: the hot infusion method and the cold infusion method. Cold infusion is the simplest method, but it takes the longest time, which is sort of around 3 to 6 weeks. Whereas hot infusion involves heating the oil very gently, so gently in fact that you need to use a double boiler. Now, you can make a double boiler quite simply by placing a glass bowl on top of a pan of boiling water. Now, some herbs work better with one type of infusion than another. You can also use fresh or dried herbs, but for beginners I would recommend using dried herbs because moisture can become an issue in this method of extraction. If there's moisture in the herb, it may cause mould to form on the oil. So using a dried herb helps to eliminate that problem because you're starting off with a plant material that is bone dry. As always, it's really important that you never make a preparation from a herb that you don't have sufficient background information on or understand its potential strength. Also, some infused oils are safe to be used on wounds or broken skin, but others must not be used in that way. So it's important to know these things about your herbs before you start working with them. Okay, so here's how to make your infused oil. First of all, this is the cold infusion method. Take a medium-sized bone-dry jar and half fill it with the dried herb you wish to infuse, or fully fill it with the fresh herb. If using dried herb, the herb will likely expand and fill up the jar, so it's important not to fill it any more than halfway. Now, top up the jar with a pure, non-blended oil such as olive, sunflower or almond oil. Olive oil is particularly well suited for the cold infusion method because it rarely turns rancid. Use a non-metallic implement to push down and stir the herb to dislodge any air bubbles that may be lurking inside. It's important not to shake the bottle vigorously though, as this will create more bubbles. The oil needs to be in direct contact with all parts of the herb to minimise the danger of mould forming, which oxygen bubbles can bring about. So when you're happy that your herb is completely submerged in the oil, add the lid and place the jar in a sunny location for anything between 3 to 6 weeks. Now, it's the sunlight that will encourage the plant to release its active constituents into the oil. Once the herbs appear slightly translucent or 3 to 6 weeks have passed, simply strain the oil using a muslin cloth or a jelly bag and then bottle and label it. Don't forget to write on the label the date you created it. You'll get about a year shelf life on the oil before it starts to go rancid, so it's important not to make too much at any one time. If you want to make a more potent oil, add the infused oil that you just made to a new batch of herbs and repeat the process all over again. You can also add a few drops of the same type of essential oil to increase the healing potency. Now, secondly, we have the hot infused method. This will involve heating the herb in the oil in order to extract its constituents. It's quite straightforward and a lot faster than the cold method, but you do have to be very careful about overheating the oil. So for this method, you need to use indirect heat, and you can do that by using a double boiler, which is a glass bowl or ceramic bowl sat on top of a pan of boiling water. You can also buy a double boiler system, which is like two glass saucepans that sit on top of each other. The secret of a double boiler is to only allow the steam from the boiling water to touch the glass bowl above, not the boiling water itself. So first of all, add the required quantity of herb and oil into the top bowl of your double boiler. As a rule of thumb, if using fresh herb, use as much herb as the oil can cover. If using dried herb, then use less to allow for the herb to expand within the oil. When the water in the pan is boiling, place the bowl on top, making sure it's not directly touching the water and only the steam is heating the bowl. Cover the glass bowl if you can, and then simmer it gently for 2 to 3 hours. Then allow the oil to cool sufficiently to be handled, and then, as with the cold infusion method, strain the oil, bottle it and label it. Again, if you want to make a more potent oil, then add the infused oil you just made to a new batch of herbs and repeat the process all over again. You can also add a few drops of the same type of essential oil to increase the healing potency. A standard infused oil will usually keep for up to a year, but it's best used within 6 months. Once you have your oil, you can use it directly on the skin, or you can use it in other preparations like balms, creams and ointment, which I will cover in other videos.